adding some outside sounds to the blues by using the altered scale. Now this scale can be a bit intimidating at first, but with the lines I'm going to show you today, we're going to break it down and make it really simple to start using. Now for today's lesson, we're going to be in the key of B, and we're going to use a 12-bar blues backing track. So the chords are B7, E7, and F sharp 7. Now there's two places in a blues where I like to use this altered scale. One is going from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. So from B7 to E7, we can use the B altered scale to build some tension and then resolve to the 4 chord. So that scale sounds like this. Now the other place I like to use this scale is at the very end of the form when we go from the 5 chord back to the 1 chord. So from F sharp 7 back to B7. We can play the F sharp 7 altered scale. And that sounds like this. Now for this lesson today, we're going to keep it really simple and just stick to one position. And we're going to play these scales basically in 1 octave, maybe venturing a little bit out here and there. But for this B altered scale that we're going to use, the notes are B, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and then back to B. And we can continue going up the scale. Now it's important to understand the interval relationships that these notes have to the chord. So in relation to B, the intervals are root, flat 9, sharp 9, third, flat 5th, sharp 5th, and flat 7. That's going to make it much easier when you want to transpose things, to think of it in terms of intervals, because you can see how the intervals relate to any chord you want to move it to. Now it's also important to see some of these underlying chords. We have like a sharp 9, sharp 5 chord. We have a sharp 9, flat 9 with a sharp 5. All these chords really resolve nicely to the 4 chord. So as we're playing our blues in B7, we can play these chords to transition to the 4 chord. Seeing those underlying chords really helps with visualizing this scale and helps develop your ear and how to use it in a melodic way. Now moving on to the F sharp 7. For that we're going to use this position right here. Right, so basically the same kind of scale, but just down 1 string set and based out of this F sharp 7 chord right here. And those notes are F sharp, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and then back to F sharp, and we can continue up the scale. And if you look at this chord, this F sharp 7 chord, we can add the sharp 9 to it and give us this kind of F sharp 7, sharp 9 voicing. We can do the flat 9, and all those sounds really resolve nice when going back to the 1 chord. Okay, so for this first example, we're going to go from the B7 chord to the E7 chord, and we're going to start on the sharp 9 from the altered scale, and we're going to play right down the scale, sharp 9, flat 9, root, flat 7, and then land on G sharp, which is the 3rd of our 4 chord. That's how we're going to resolve. So the notes are D, C, B, A, and then resolving on G sharp. Here's what it sounds like in context. Okay, so now we can move this whole thing down 1 string set and use it over the F sharp 7 chord at the end of the progression, going from the 5 chord back to the 1 chord. And the intervals are the same. Sharp 9, flat 9, root, flat 7, and then landing on the 3rd of B7. So here's what that sounds like in context. Okay, so now I'm going to play a little solo example. I'll play one time through a 12-bar form, and I'll use these altered licks in the appropriate spots, transitioning through the chords. And you can hear kind of how they fit in the context of a solo, along with some other phrases. Okay, so that first example resolved to the third of our 4-chord, or the third of our 1-chord when we went back to the 1-chord. Let's do one that resolves to the 5th. Now this line is going to start going from B to E7. We're going to start on this sharp 5, the note G, and then we're going to jump down to the 3rd, E flat, then right down the scale to D, the sharp 9, C, the flat 9, and then we're going to resolve to B, which this time is the 5th of our 4-chord. So here's what that sounds like in context. Okay, and again, over the F sharp 7 chord, we can do the exact same thing, just move it down one string set, and then we get, which resolves to the 5th of our B7 chord. Here's what that sounds like in context. Okay, so here's another solo example. I'm going to play a very similar solo to the first one that I played, but in those transition spots, I'm going to plug in this new phrase that we just learned. Okay, so for this next example, we're going to resolve to the flat 7 of the chord we're resolving to. In B, this example is going to start on the root and then go down to the sharp 5, which is A, the 3rd, which is E flat, B again, and then up to the flat 7 of our E7 chord. Here's what it sounds like in context. Okay, so now here it is over the F sharp 7 chord. Again, we can just move the whole thing down one string set and resolve to the flat 7 of B7. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, so here's another solo. I'll play very similar to the other examples, but plug in this new phrase in the appropriate spots. Check it out. So as you can see, this altered scale doesn't really have to be that intimidating or that difficult to start using. These lines are all pretty simple, and once you get these under your fingers, you can obviously then start to expand on it and elaborate on it, add more notes from the scale, add some more interesting rhythmic phrasing. But this is a great way to just kind of dip your toe in the water with this altered sound and getting used to plugging it in the appropriate spots. So hopefully this was useful for you. For more lesson content, please come join me on Patreon. If you enjoyed this lesson, please hit the subscribe button. And always, I want to thank you guys for watching, and take care. I'll catch you next time.